The Chicago Bulls get to 4-0 as they beat the Sacramento Kings. We're going to be talking about the key takeaways from tonight's win. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Matas Buzelis slam dunks in games. And so in exchange for slamming on that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Chicago Bulls. And so make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Chicago Bulls Insider family as we talk nothing but Chicago Bulls basketball. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it as we are talking about the key takeaways from tonight's win against the Sacramento Kings. And so I always like to start with the theme of the night. And so these are just points that really describe what we saw in tonight's game. And so there's two for tonight's game. And the first one being that the Chicago Bulls showed heart, hustle, and grit, because that's exactly what they needed to pull this win out. They got off to a great start against the Sacramento Kings, but the Kings responded well, and they took the lead in the second quarter. They led by as many as 12 points. They went on a 14-4 run. The Bulls had 10 turnovers, but the Bulls showed heart. They stayed connected. They continued to hustle out there, and then they turned it on in the second half. And so once again, the Chicago Bulls, a complete team effort. And I just think heart, hustle, and grit is the first point that comes to mind to describe this one. The next one being that the Chicago Bulls just turned it on in the second half and became another team. In the third quarter, they won that quarter 39-27. They won the fourth quarter 25-22. At one point in the second half, they were 7 of 12 from downtown, 34-16 with the points in the paint. 33 assists to 46 field goal makes at one point. So this team just took off in the second half. It was just a great team effort, and it was great to see this team stay together and close the way they did. In fact, they even cleaned it up as far as turnovers were concerned. They had 10 in the first half, only 6 in the second half. And so just the Bulls were a complete second half team, heart, hustle, and grit. That describes this one. And so next, I want to go ahead and jump into just the MVPs on the night. And so I have 3, but really I think that you can give this to the entire team because, again, it was a team effort. And this becomes even more difficult as the season goes along because so many players are playing well. But there's 3 that stood out in tonight's game. And so the first one being Matas Buzelis. I think that Matas Buzelis had a great game in this one. And so Matas Buzelis, with his stat line tonight, 27 points. He was plus 18 in the plus-minus box score. He did have 3 turnovers. He had a block. He had 2 steals, 2 assists, 5 rebounds. He was 1 of 1 from the free throw line, 4 of 6 from downtown, and 11 of 18 from the field. And so, I think one of the biggest things with Matas Buzelis is that he hit more threes in tonight's game than he had to start off the season. And so, talking about just getting out of the slump, man, he had a huge slump buster today because he was knocking down 3-point shots. Again, he started off the season 2 of 12. I talked about this in the earlier video that he was only shooting about 16.7%. I know that he can shoot the basketball a lot better than what he was shooting it at. And this was one of those games where it just actually showed you that Matas Buzelis can hit 3-pointers. I loved what we saw with the off-ball movement with him. And then again, man, just the confidence to continue to take the 3-point shots, even though it has been a slow start for Matas Buzelis. You just have to love the confidence. And I love how he's responded too from that game in Orlando where he fouled out. So Matas Buzelis, man, he was MVP #1 for me. And I think that they took away a very nice and one play that should have been an and one and a dunk, but they took that off the board. But Matas Buzelis, MVP #1. And so MVP #2 for me, it was Josh Giddey, man. I thought that Josh Giddey was great in tonight's game, just the energy that he played with tonight. And so once again, he has a double-double. And so 20 points plus 24 in the plus-minus box score. He actually led the Chicago Bulls there. He He had 0 blocks, 0 steals, but 12 assists and 8 rebounds, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 1 of 2 from downtown, and 7 of 14 from the field. And so there was one play for Josh Giddey where he literally got 3 rebounds because he knew that he had shot the three-point shot and it was short. He went in, he got the rebound, another shot attempt up, and he ended up getting the board. And I think another one went up and he still got the board. So Josh Giddey with his activity tonight was great. He had a quick 6 points to start off in the first quarter. So I think that he got off to a very good start. And then I think that, man, he just really started to carve up the Kings in the second half. Like, I loved what he was doing there. He had a great assist to Tre Jones as well. And I loved the bank shot three-pointer that we saw there. And so I guess the banks remain open late in Chicago. And so Josh Giddey, man, just showing it all here in this one. And so he was MVP number 2. Again, man, just love the energy from Josh Giddey tonight. And again, man, just continue to prove in and just really carve up the Sacramento Kings. And so MVP number 3 for me, it was Kevin Huerter. I thought that Kevin Huerter was great coming off the bench tonight. In fact, his stat line was 18 points. He had, 0 blocks, 0 steals, 4 assists, 4 rebounds. He was 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 3 of 5 from deep, and 6 of 8 from the field in 25 minutes. And so he led the bench tonight in scoring. And I just love the off-ball movement that we saw from Kevin Huerter. I love the fact that he was down there fighting for boards with Sabonis. He hit a deep 3 in this one, and then he took another deep 3 for a heat check out there. He had like 10 points on just 4 shots, and so he was super efficient at one point in time, or actually he was efficient throughout the game, but just giving you an idea that at one point he only had 4 shots, but he still had 10 points because he was getting to the free throw line and knocking down his attempts. And so Kevin Huerter has looked very good. And I think it's just interesting to see, how he is really taken off the bench, because there was so much talk about him possibly starting. But the fact that he's come off the bench and just been an impact like he has been here for the Chicago Bulls has been huge. And so he was MVP number 3 on the night for the Chicago Bulls. And so next, I wanted to go ahead and jump into the rest of the starters because we had some good performances too from them. And so, starting with Tre Jones. And so Tre Jones, once again, a big night, 11 points. He was plus 16 in the plus-minus box score. He did have 3 turnovers, 5 assists, 2 steals. He did have 1 rebound. He was 5 of 6 from the field and 1 of 1 from downtown. And so with Tre Jones, what I liked about him offensively tonight was his ability to just get through contact and finish at the rim. And so I love the layups that we're seeing with him. I've always said that the crafty finishes and stuff like that have been good for him in contact against size out there. He plays a lot bigger than what he is. At one point, he had 9 points. He had 6 points in the paint. He was 4 of 4 at 1.2. He took a charge in this one as well. Just made just huge basketball IQ plays. I think that there was one play he's coming down, and it was just a subtle look to the corner, and it allowed Matas Buzelis to slip for a nice layup in this one. And so Tre Jones making some just great plays for us. And so he was huge tonight. Next, Vooch. And so Vooch once again showed up. And so Vooch continues to play well. And so tonight, 13 points plus 16 in the plus-minus box score. He had a steal. He had 7 assists, 14 rebounds tonight, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 1 of 3 from deep, and 5 of 12 from the field. And so with Vooch, he continues to be steady. He continues to kind of flirt with a triple-double. And I love what we saw with his hook shot down low in the post. And so he showed that with his turnaround stuff. He had a very nice pass out of the zone to find Issac Okoro tonight. And so that was nice. I believe he had 8 points in the third quarter. So he kind of stepped it up in that second half to really help the Bulls kind of get things going. And so Vooch was steady once again, almost got the triple-double. And so he was huge. The next with Issac Okoro. And so Issac Okoro, I was impressed with what I saw from him tonight. And so Issac Okoro, what I liked is, again, he continues to show the confidence. I know he missed some shots, but he was plus 20 just behind Josh Giddey as far as the plus minus tonight. And so 9 points. He did have 2 turnovers. He had a block. He had a steal. He had 2 assists. He had 4 rebounds, 1 of 4 from deep and 4 of 9 from the field. So just his activity level, I think, is going to help him as far as scoring the basketball. Yes, he's still going to have to knock down some shots, but man, he had a very good steal in this one. I like the fact that he had a nice dunk off of Vooch pass too. We just talked about that. He had some nice driving layups. And so as long as Issac Okoro can continue to stay aggressive like this, I think that things are going to open up for him offensively. But I just love what we're seeing from him defensively. He's up for the challenge. You can tell that the rest of the team is feeding off of this. And so some good minutes from Issac Okoro tonight. And so next, I wanted to go ahead and jump into some more off the bench. And so just we had some good performances there, starting with Jalen Smith. And so Jalen Smith showed up big tonight. He had 10 points. He was -3 in the plus minus box score. 5 rebounds, 0 of 4 from deep, but 5 of 9 from the field. So with Jalen Smith, I think that you can tell that once he is aggressive, once he's getting into the paint and just he's active there, he starts to find the basket. So I think he's doing a terrific job when he starts there. And so he had a nice finish off of pick and roll. It was a nice pass from Josh Giddey in that one. Also, too, he almost had an and one. He had a nice driving layup. He caught a nice little lob that was from Kevin Huerter. It wasn't a dunk, but it was kind of like one that Vooch caught, I believe, in Orlando, where it's like he catches it and he just goes up in the one motion for the layup. And so love the activity from Jalen Smith tonight. And so I think for him, he just needs to continue to try to get to these paint touches and stuff like that and get out into transition. I think that helps his offense, but I loved his energy tonight. And so he was huge for us. Next, Patrick Williams. And so Patrick Williams tonight, I was impressed with him too, because Patrick Williams continues to show confidence. And so his line tonight, he had 9 points, even though he was -15 in the plus minus box score, 3 rebounds. He was 0 of 0 from the free throw line, so he didn't get there, but 3 of 3 from the 3-point line and 3 of 6 from the field. And so what I liked about Patrick Williams is, man, he did not hesitate when he saw 3-point opportunities. He sized up Devin Eubanks, and he hit a nice shot over him, or Ebanks, I believe. He hit a nice shot over him. He stepped into another 3-point shot, like off of the transition. And so I just love the fact that he continues to be aggressive. And he was one of the leading scorers off the bench tonight, because it was Huerter, then it was him tied with Ayo Dosunmu. And so speaking of Ayo Dosunmu, a little bit quiet night for him as far as scoring, but still he was impactful with the points that he did score. He was huge for us in the fourth. He got to the free throw line. He was 3 of 3 there, -13 in the plus minus box score, 2 rebounds and assist. And he also was 0 of 3 from deep on 3 of 8 shooting in 21 minutes, excuse me. So Ayo Dosunmu still making an impact, even though he didn't have, the most amount of points here. And so next, I wanted to go ahead and jump into the team box score and just look at the key takeaways from that, because we definitely had some good stuff happen there. And so the first thing for the Chicago Bulls that I think that they did well was just hitting the boards tonight. So 46-30 with the rebounds tonight. That kind of goes into just really that gritty effort that we saw throughout this game. The Bulls just were relentless on the boards. I talked about the multiple efforts there from Josh Giddey. So 46-30, the Bulls lead there. Next, I think another thing that really stands out in this one was the 3-point shooting. And so 43.8% for the Bulls. And you see that they were 14-32, but then look at the Kings, 7 of 28, 25%. We talked about that in the earlier video, and that's really been the talk around the Chicago Bulls, is that they are holding opponents to about 25%. And so the Kings weren't able to knock down jumpers. You have to give the Bulls a lot of credit for being out there with their rotations and everything else. Next, the free throw line. And so 14 of 18 tonight, didn't leave as much money at the free throw line, 77.8%. So they leave the percentage-wise They did send the Kings to the line 26 times. They made theirs 76.9%. So the Bulls, I think, could have had some more free throws in this one, but still, I like the fact that they were able to capitalize off of what they did get. Next, the assist. And so you see that they had 34 assists in this one, to their field goal makes of 49. And so that was a great assist to, just make ratio here for the Chicago Bulls. That was good to see. So they led in that category. One of the things that was interesting in this game is that the Kings led in the fast breaks 27-14. And I think that really what that stat shows you is just that the Bulls can beat you in so many different ways. And so I think last year, that was a pretty good indication of a good game for them. But there's times where the fast breaks haven't been there, but they're finding ways to get it done in other ways. And so the Bulls find a way, even though the fast break points weren't there. And this was huge for the Bulls. This next stat, 70 points in the paint to the Kings 60. And so, the Bulls are giving up 64 point paints to opponents here, but the fact that they scored 70 is huge. And so the Bulls still will need to cut down that number, but you just have to love the fact that the Bulls are finding ways to get to the paint and score right around that rim. And so just a terrific team effort for the Chicago Bulls. They're 4-0. This is the first time since the 21-22 season, first time in 4 seasons. And the Bulls remain undefeated at this point in time. They join the Thunder, the Sixers, and the Thunder and Sixers are the only teams that are still undefeated here. And so, the Bulls right there in the undefeated rank, man, this is a huge win for the Chicago Bulls. And so let's see if this team can continue to just stay the course, stay focused, and stay together, because that's exactly what they have done each game in this one. They have a challenging stretch coming up. They will have the New York Knicks coming up here twice. And so they're going to have to try to figure out a way to get that done. One of those games is actually going to be a cup game for the Chicago Bulls. And so let's see if they can figure something out. But the Bulls take care of business. We'll be talking a little bit more about the Chicago Bulls and just really some more key takeaways from this one. You guys let me know in the comments what your key takeaways were from tonight. And as we always say, look, go Bulls. And I will see you guys on the next one. All right. Peace.